Good morning. Welcome to the best spring semester in the history of Cosumnes River College. I hope that you all enjoyed precious time with your family over the holidays and you're back rested and ready to do the work. Sitting when the chancellor was talking and I heard my phone go off and I was hesitant to check it, but I did, and it was a text from my wife and said, "Baby, I'm here." I was like, "Oh, wow." So my wife showed up. She's here. The convocation. No, you got to stand up and wave. So I'm pleased. Yeah, she's here. I don't know that many of you have known that I was here maybe for the first 14 to 15 months by myself, that she was still in Southern California. So she finally made it up here with me this October as a vice principal in Elk Grove Unified. So if you've seen a little pep in my step somewhere around October, that is the reason why, because she's finally here with me, and I feel like myself again. I want to start off, and the focus of the presentation is going to be all about strategic planning. But before I do that, I have the privilege of introducing two brand new managers that will be joining the CRC family. The first is our new Dean of Kinesiology, Health, and Athletics. It's Colin Prigilasco. Colin, can you please stand? Coming to us from UC Santa Cruz. Second person I'd like to introduce is Heather Tilson, who's our new Dean of Institutional Effectiveness. Heather, welcome to the family. Spent many years in the Pima Community College District, and I'm looking forward to working with both of them. I think each year, and I don't know what it is about Convocation, that I feel compelled to make a confession. I think in the first convocation in the fall of 2015, I said that I was nervous. I admitted that. I think in the spring of that same academic year, I think my confession was that I was still nervous. In the fall, I talked about and admitted that although I sleep on a bed every night, I don't know how to put one together, that I struggle putting together IKEA furniture. And this year, my confession is that there's a temptation that I've been fighting, and it's not chocolate chip cookies. I lost that battle a long time ago. The confession is I'm really finding myself having to fight being cynical. To really fight being cynical as we approach our work, and in the work of a college, we do things sometimes it's just perfunctory. Every 6 years you do 5 years you do an accreditation report. Every 5 years you do a strategic plan. Every year you do, or every other year you do a program review. And we just do this work because it's an institutional habit to do the work. But when we evaluate and measure the work that we did, we see that nothing has really changed to change the trajectory or the success of our students. I mean, it's getting so bad. I think I was in a meeting the other day and someone shared a big idea and I was like, good luck with that. Now, I didn't really say it, but the thought was so loud in my head, I thought that I had verbally communicated that out loud. But as we begin to think about our strategic planning and the work of the institution, we have to fight the urge to be cynical. That we have to step back and really evaluate what is really at stake. that we cannot continue to approach planning, we cannot continue to approach our work in a perfunctory manner. That we have to say that we have to do something fundamentally different. In our everyday work personally, but also in our work as an institution, if we're going to improve the outcomes of our students. That no longer can our planning be about checking off a series of activities that we have accomplished, but still seeing the majority of our students not completing or finishing. That the conversation and the measures have to be not about how we move our institution, but how we are moving our students. And our success is evaluated based on how successful they are. So I'm actually quite excited about the work that we are doing in this iteration of our strategic plan. Because I think we started with the premise of asking ourselves, how can we best serve and impact the experiences of our students and allow our students to guide us and lead us through our process. And so what I'm going to share with you today is going to be the content of that strategic plan, and you're going to be able to really unpack the content. But what I wanted to really do is to set the stage of the spirit and the essence of what the plan is about. Because if you just look at the contents and the words in isolation of its essence, it just becomes those activities on the paper again. You follow me? Feel me? Understand? First, I want to acknowledge the work of the Strategic Planning Steering Committee. Members of the Steering Committee, can you please stand? Please, so we could quickly recognize you. I know you don't like recognition. You don't do it to be recognized. But we would be remiss if we did not acknowledge your hard work and effort. We didn't take anything off your plate for you to do this. We only added to your plate. This group has done and continue to do a heavy lift in guiding us through our strategic planning process. You will see that there's a cross-section of representatives from faculty, staff, administrators on this list that have done a tremendous job in putting this together. The purpose of the strategic plan is really to galvanize the institution around one cohesive set of strategies by identifying what are our college goals and the directions that we are moving towards. And the word that is used there that I think is most fitting is to unify the college around these broad concepts, but meaningful concepts nonetheless, to make sure that we are all pulling within the same directions with the same goals and strategy and focus in mind. And everything that we do should support the college mission and vision statement. And you know that recently this past semester that we went through a revise of both our mission and our vision statement. But the strategic plan is how we operationalize who it is that we say we are. So if we say that we are an exemplary institution, that we want to empower students, then the strategic plan answers the questions, how are we going to do that? How are we going to be exemplary? How are we going to empower our students? How are we going to meet our open access mission? And the strategic plan operationalizes and answers those questions. As part of the process, and many of you, and thank you for those who participated in this, filled out a survey where we did a SWOT analysis, which is our strength, weakness, opportunities, and threats, to get a sense of where we were and where we are as an institution. So to the backdrop of much of our planning and our conversation, we had this SWOT analysis in mind. Again, I think it's extremely important for you to know the process, and so I'll spend a real quick minute on this. But the big takeaway that I want you to get for this is that the planning process was vetted, that we had many people in the institution involved. It wasn't just a steering committee, it wasn't just administration locking themselves in a room to develop the document that you're going to review today. And that we made sure that every step of the way was important to get the input of you, the broader college community. And that started from the very beginning when we did the assessment of the plan. We did the SWOT survey, and we had over 173 people participate in that survey. It's also important to know that we did not only receive feedback from faculty, administrative staff, and students within the college, we also got feedback from our community partners through the foundation board members, members of our patrons club, and those who sit on our industry advisory groups as well. And then we transitioned that and used the information from that SWOT analysis as well as the assessment that was done of our previous plan to have our first planning summit. Many of you were there, and we had over 80 participants at that first planning summit that took place early in the fall semester. The big takeaway from that initial planning summit was the design and the creation of work groups. So we broke out to 5 different work groups that was based on each of our areas of focus that developed the strategies that you're going to see. They developed those strategies throughout most of the fall term and reported out that information in our last planning summit of the fall, which took place mid to late November. And again, we had over 80 participants in that. So when we combined that, it was over several hundred people participating in the process. It was 100 plus people who participated in the work groups alone. So thank you. All those who participated in the work groups, just wave your hand. There's a lot of you. I know it's more than that. I said 100 plus. Thank you for your participation in that. And the work that you produce is, I think, getting to the essence of what I talked about earlier. So again, I'm quickly going to share with you the areas of focus that were identified, and also the strategies that were developed. You're going to have a significant amount of time in your breakout groups to review the strategies in detail. So with the time that I have, I'm not going to do that for you since you're going to be able to do that shortly, but I just want to give you some of the highlights so you can familiarize yourself again with the strategies. Real quick, what guided us in developing our strategies was this SMART framework. So for example, we wanted it to be specific, significant, and stretching. It's important for us to be ambitious and attainable within our goals, right? That it should challenge us to be able to reach a particular area of focus within our students that will cause us to do things differently. We always talk about not maintaining the status quo. That means that we have to stretch and do things differently. So our goals wanted to reflect that. And one of the things in aligning with also what was developed in the district strategic plan is to make sure that our goals are measurable. So we identified, and you will see that in your breakout sessions, indicators of achievement. And that is just simply how we're going to measure whether or not the strategies are effective or that we are making progress towards our goals. Our research department spent a lot of time in developing what those indicators of achievements are, so you have an opportunity to look at that. Many of those indicators were taken directly from the district strategic plan that was just developed. Other indicators are mechanisms such as the scorecard that we have to report out every year anyway, and we embedded that in the document, but you'll have an opportunity for more substantive conversations around those indicators in your breakouts. So area 1 is access and success. It's the broad area. You will see familiar language from what the chancellor talked about within the goal statement. And that goal statement is to optimize student access and success through effective pathways. The piece that we added that you didn't see in the district strategic plan is this part where we said in other practices that facilitate on-time completion, right? So effective pathways is just a tool. There may be other tools that emerge as a best practice, so we want to be nimble enough to be able to move to other high-impact practices other than effective pathways if they prove to be more effective. But the big piece in that and the big takeaway is the facilitation of on-time completion. It's taking our students too long to get through our programs, if they get through at all. So the conversation about pathways come into play here and making sure we streamline that process and make it easier for our students to navigate their way through the institution. And you see the 4 strategies that we're going to use to get there. Next piece is equity. You heard me say this since I began, that our overarching instructional mission is to improve overall student success while closing the gap in achievement without what? Compromising what? Do you know? Without compromising rigor, that all those things are possible, that those are not dichotomous concepts, that could do all three of those things. And you see that reflected within this goal statement of saying that we want to improve academic equability across all CRC students, that all of our students can be successful, and you will see the strategies that you have opportunities to unpack in your breakout section. 3, goes to the core of the mission of who we are as an institution, which we are a teaching and learning institution. That is the core of our work that defines who we are. The magic happens inside of the classroom, and magic happens every day here at CRC. And that goal group worked diligently to really try to nail down what they believe the goal of teaching and learning environment is here at the college. This is to nurture exemplary learning among students and employees, recognizing that learning is not a one-way street, that is bi-directional and that is dynamic, that sometimes the students plays the role of a teacher, and oftentimes the teacher plays the role of the teacher, but it happens that the environment itself is a learning environment and trying to capture that essence. 4th is workforce development. It's a very direct goal statement. I like aspirational goal statements. And this said that we're not only going to provide workforce development, but we're going to be the what? Lead, right? We're going to be the leaders. We're going to lead the region in workforce development. We have the capacity, we have the programs, we have the faculty to do that. And they set strategies outlining the steps that we need to take in order to lead the region in this particular area. And 5th is a learning and working environment. How many of you love showing to work every day? That's good. So we're good on that, then we're done. That's the goal. We want to make this an environment where you love and excited to show up to work every day because you know that you're going to be supported, you're going to have the resources you need to do your job, that you will have an atmosphere where you're able to take risks, that there's a culture of innovation, that you are your best so you could be the best for our students. And that's the essence of what this goal is capturing. You'll see the 5 strategies outlining how we're going to accomplish that. This outlines the next steps. We're in January now, and we're having the discussion at Convocation. Next February, we will do final constituency review, where we take it to the various senates, academic, classified, and student senates to get final approval. Then we move along in March, which actually will be the date in which CRC would host a board meeting, so which is quite timely. We will get final approval of our strategic plan. So as I close and as I bring up Lisa and Mun to guide us through the rest of the presentation, I would like to challenge you to fight the cynicism. Is that I know when many of you might have looked at the program and say, wow, we're spending 2.5 hours on strategic. What? Strategic planning, I get it. I don't know if I want to sit through 2 hours of strategic planning. I want you to fight the cynicism because what is articulated in the plan, if we all galvanize around the work and we bring our total selves to this with the students in mind, in the year 2022, when this work is complete, we will be able to see the difference that this work has made. I want this to be the year when historians look at the college and they're doing that 100-year kind of thing you do at your 100-year and look back at the institution, that they will be able to point to this plan that was developed in 2017 and say that this was the turning point of the institution. This is the time in which the college got it right, that they could see the difference in student success based on the work that you developed in your breakout sessions today. I appreciate your time. I thank you once again. I will ask Mun, Fan, and Lisa Marchant to lead us through the rest of the presentation of the day. Thank you.